Welcome, listeners, to two tales from the 1940s. Oh yes, a set of old-time radio episodes just for you. Tweaked and remastered so your ears aren't bleeding at the end of the show, and as many clicks and pops removed so that your speakers don't erupt into gibberish. Now folks, your first tale is The Man in Black. Mystery surrounds this figure, and the tale right out of the halls of fantasy to keep you guessing. Is your friend in the darkness still your friend, or someone or something else? And our second tale, The Feast of the Red Gauntlet, involving Steenie Steenson of Scottish descent, and a pact with the spectre that he will never forget. Turn the lights down low, turn the sound up high, and snuggle up close to your radio tonight.
And now, the Hall of Fantasy. Welcome to the Hall of Fantasy. Welcome to the series of radio dramas dedicated to the supernatural, the unusual, and the unknown. Come with me, my friends. We shall descend to the world of the unknown and forbidden, down to the depths where the veil of time is lifted, and the supernatural reigns as king. Come with me and listen to the tale of The Man in Black.
The wind? Where did it come from?
It is always there when he wants to speak to me. It is the sound of his voice.
You're not serious about this man, are you?
Take it as you will, my good sir. Put your own interpretation upon the words I have spoken. Yes, master. I understand.
What did you say?
I answered him.
What do you mean?
The wind. The mocking sound of the wind is his voice. He has seen. He has looked into your minds and seen you. But he sees only one woman. One woman in both of your minds. First, she shall die. Then you. Both of you. Yes, master. I hear and obey.
In just a moment, the Hall of Fantasy will present The Man in Black. And now for our story. An original tale of fantasy by Richard Thorne entitled The Man in Black.
We live in a world which borders at times on the unreal. A world that cannot explain the various phenomena which seem to have neither beginning nor end. That subtle, fleeting power of perception which reveals itself to a human being only at infrequent intervals throughout his life. That sudden, sharp feeling that danger or death is near. These things mankind cannot explain. This sixth sense of warning never appears when we go about our everyday tasks, but only when we are faced with an insurmountable problem, imminent and deadly peril. Such is the tale of The Man in Black. It was a cool, quiet night. That night it began. For some reason, Brian had insisted that we take a stroll in the park. It's late, Brian, almost 11:30.
I know, David. Beautiful night, isn't it?
Yes. A good night for sleeping.
I like to come out here about this hour. It seems to give me a sense of belonging.
That sounds strange coming from you.
No, I'm quite serious, Dave. I feel no relation with the rest of the world, but out here in the park listening to the sound of the crickets, our footsteps on the walk, I feel as if I belong. You understand what I'm trying to say?
I think so.
Another thing, it's strange, but I have a feeling. A feeling that something is wrong, that something is going to happen.
What do you mean?
Something inside of me. I almost know that something will happen that will change the entire course of my life.
Oh, I think you're just
That
imagining.
woman coming towards us.
Yes, I see her.
I wonder if...
Man in black. Have you seen that man in black?
I'm sorry, but we haven't...
Just a minute, David. Let her talk.
Have you seen him? Have you seen the man in black?
No, I'm afraid not.
Oh, I thought perhaps you could help me. I must find him.
Well, we haven't seen anyone out here tonight except you.
The man in black. I must find the man in black.
What does she mean?
I don't know. The man in black.
Maybe we ought to follow her.
Now let her go.
That's strange.
What?
It was so still before, now the wind seems to have sprung up from nowhere.
Listen.
She went off in that direction. Let's take a look.
Wonder why she screamed.
Well, she couldn't have gotten too far. Look up ahead.
That must be her.
Lady, is anything... What's the matter with her?
She's dead.
Dead.
That's right. I wonder who he is.
Who?
The man in black.
We called the police and told them everything we knew. There were no marks on the woman's body, nothing to indicate the manner in which she died. The police were inclined to believe she died from natural causes. But Brian and I felt there was something behind her death that concerned the man in black. I didn't see Brian for almost 2 weeks. At the end of that time, I received a call from Carol Deming, Brian's bride-to-be. Hello?
David, I hope I didn't disturb you.
Oh, of course not, Carol.
David, Brian wants you to come to dinner tonight.
Any particular reason?
I think so.
And what is it, do you know?
No, I'm not sure. David, I'm frightened. Brian's been so strangely mysterious lately. He seems obsessed with only one idea. Something about a man in black.
Not once during dinner did Brian mention the subject. It was perhaps an hour after the meal. The three of us were sitting in the library when he brought up the subject of the man in black.
Remember that woman we saw in the park, David?
Yes, of course.
She aroused your interest, didn't she?
Yes.
She did the same thing to me. Only I did something about it.
Brian, I wish you'd forget about this.
I can't, darling. I know how you feel about it. I did my best to forget it, but I couldn't.
Still, don't you think that...
My mind will never be quiet until I get to the bottom of this.
Maybe the woman we saw was upset.
It was quite evident, David. I made some inquiries about this supposed man in black just to see if anyone knew anything about it.
And?
And I discovered that no person alive was described in that way.
Well, then you can forget about it.
I said, anyone alive.
What do you mean by that, Brian?
The man she was talking about has been dead for 30 years.
Well, then, that ends your investigation, doesn't it?
I'm afraid not.
Why not, Brian?
When I've traced down every last clue about him, only then will I be satisfied.
Who was he, this man in black?
An immigrant to this country, David. He's buried in a mausoleum in a private estate about 40 miles north of the city.
You mean he lived here?
No, he didn't. It was his dying wish that a mausoleum be built and his body placed there after his death. No one knows where he came from.
Well, why should he pick this location?
I don't know, David, but I intend to find out.
How?
I understand there's a caretaker for the estate. I intend going to him to learn the story.
When?
Tomorrow.
Do you mind if I come along?
Of course not. What about you, Carol?
No. I don't want to go with you, and I wish you wouldn't go either.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
Are you sure, Brian? Are you really sure?
What's the matter, Carol?
Over there, at the window.
There's nothing there.
Oh, but there was. There was something over there. I couldn't see it clearly, Brian, but it was there. The grotesque figure of a man's face floating outside the window.
Neither Brian nor I saw anything outside the window, and we put it down to Carol's imagination. She asked us again not to go out there, but Brian insisted, and in the end won out. The following day, in the late afternoon, we started out to the estate.
This is the road that leads into the estate.
It seems so lonely out here.
Yes, doesn't it? Almost as if this little area was set apart from everything else.
Maybe it's the day. Gray overcast.
Well, that all adds to it, of course.
Up ahead, is that it?
Yes.
Only that one building with that semicircle of trees behind it. I thought you said he was buried in a mausoleum.
He is.
You mean that? I don't like this, Brian.
Are you afraid?
Maybe.
Look, there's an old man standing in the doorway. Looks as if he were waiting for us.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was.
Well, let's go meet him.
Maybe we ought to go back.
Of course not. We've already come this far. We'd be crazy to turn back now.
Good day, gentlemen. I've been expecting you.
Please come to find out.
No need to tell me. Just follow me, please. He said you would be here about this time.
Who?
I'll tell you later.
So dark in here.
Your eyes will become accustomed to it, the darkness. Just come with me.
What do you think?
I don't know.
You said something?
No, nothing at all.
This is the room. Right in here. You wish to learn of the man in black. Am I correct?
Yes.
Can't we have more light? The candles burning in here don't throw off much light.
I'm sorry, but that would be against his orders.
Whose orders?
He who walks by night?
What can you tell us about this man in black?
Quite a good deal. The man who lies in a stone coffin in the center of this room died some 30 years ago. Yet his body is as it was when he was alive. Perhaps you would like to look at him.
No. Sorry.
You ought to look on him. After all, he has laid claim to you already.
What do you mean?
The woman you met some time ago. She was the first link in the chain. The last in her chain, but the first in yours. They who search for the man in black shall die, but not before they see the one they love most in this world die first.
The wind. Where did it come from?
It is always there when he wants to speak to me. It is the sound of his voice.
You're not serious about this man, are you?
Take it as you will, my good sir. Put your own interpretation upon the words I have spoken. Yes, master. I understand.
What did you say?
I answered him.
What do you mean?
The wind, the mocking sound of the wind is his voice. He has seen. He has looked into your minds and seen you, but he sees only one woman. One woman in both of your minds. First, she shall die. Then you. Both of you. Yes, master. I hear and obey.
The voice. Where's that voice coming from?
From his coffin.
Stop now.
Yes. He has stopped laughing. Your meeting is over now. But you will see him again quite soon. Remember to look for the man in black.
The old man showed us out of the mausoleum. So cold and lifeless. So frightening to behold. We sat silent for some minutes as we drove back. Then Brian broke the unnatural quiet.
I didn't know you felt that way about Carol.
Oh, he was mistaken, Brian.
You're not a very convincing liar, David. It's true, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Forget it.
All right. What do you think?
About the story the old man told us? I hope he's crazy.
What if he isn't?
Then I don't know. I just don't know.
When we get back to town, Dave, we'll pick up Carol and head for my place.
Why?
Strange, isn't it? Something tells me that what the old man said was true.
In the back of my mind, I also knew that what the old man had said was true. What bothered me was that we knew we were doomed to die, but not from which direction death would come, nor what form it would take. phoned Carol from a little roadhouse just outside the city. She was waiting for us when we pulled up in front of the apartment building in which she lived. From there, it was only a short drive to Brian's place.
And that's the story, Carol.
I can't believe it.
You know, sitting here in your house, Brian, with the lights on like this and everything so normal, I find it difficult to believe myself. Perhaps we were mistaken, Brian. Maybe nothing will happen.
You really believe that, David?
I'm trying to.
Just a minute. What time was it when you were out there?
Oh, it must have been about 5. Why?
Well, maybe it was my imagination, but just about that time, I heard someone laughing. The voice came from behind me. I turned around to look, and no one was there.
It could have been the laugh we heard.
But we were there. How could she possibly have heard anything at the precise moment we did?
The old man said it was his voice issuing forth from the coffin, the voice of the man in black.
No. What's that?
It's just thunder, Carol. It's been threatening to rain all day.
Every time the old man said he heard the voice, did you notice how the wind would spring up? There was another sound, too. I don't know what it was. It was there. I'll never forget it.
Oh, what are we going to do?
Well, I'm going to hire bodyguards, take protective measures against anyone getting near.
Listen.
The wind. And that sound we heard in the mausoleum.
Where's it coming from?
I don't know. Carol, what's wrong?
What's the matter?
There's something at the window.
Face. Terrible twisted face.
Do something.
It's gone.
The window's broken.
It was looking in at us, watching the three of us. And those eyes. Those terrible eyes. I'm afraid, Brian. Brian, you have to do something before it's too late.
A moment before, the three of us had been witness to an amazing and terrifying sight. For outside the window, we had seen a face. Distorted and twisted. The fire burning in its eyes bespoke death.
I'm afraid, Brian. Brian, you have to do something before it's too late.
Was that the same face you saw before, Carol?
Yes, only now it was much clearer. What are we going to do, Brian?
Maybe we should call the police.
They probably wouldn't believe us. When I used a detective agency a few months ago, I'm going to call them. Telephone number should be here in my desk.
Now, take it easy, Carol.
But it's just that I'm so frightened.
We'll be all right as soon as we can get some guards here.
Radcliffe, is that you? This is Brian Conley. I want every available man you have to come out here tonight. You know my address? Yes, thank you. They'll be out here as soon as possible.
Is Radcliffe coming?
No, but we'll have 8 men here in the house to give us protection. We'll stay here, the 3 of us. That way we'll have a better chance.
Oh, if only you hadn't been so interested in what that woman had to say, Brian.
There was. I'm sorry.
That's over and done with, Carol. I'm as much to blame as he is.
Oh, I suppose we all are.
There's nothing we can do except wait, Carol. But I'm sure the man in black won't call on us again. Not when we have help.
Yes. What do you want?
I'm just checking up on things, sir.
Have all the men been posted?
Yes. It's rather dark out here in the hallway. You shouldn't be out here by yourself, sir.
I'm just as safe here as I would be with the others.
Probably.
It's so dark, I can't see your face very well.
It's just a face, sir. Nothing else. You seem very nervous. Do you believe the old man's story?
I'd prefer not to, but...
It is rather frightening, isn't it? Yes. Well, I'll continue on my rounds. Good night, sir. Probably see you again before morning.
The guard somehow disturbed me. There was something unusual about him. In the gloomy hallway, I couldn't see his face. Of course, in the shadows, it was difficult to tell what color his clothes were.
Who's that?
David.
You startled me.
Are you alone down here?
Yes.
Where's Carol?
She got a headache. Went upstairs from that.
Well, she shouldn't be alone.
There's a man stationed outside her door.
So quiet in the house. One of the guards just passed me in the hallway, asked me if I believed in the story the old man told us.
The guards don't know anything about the story.
Are you sure?
Of course I am. The only thing they've been told is to watch for a man in black clothing. Why should the guard know anything? Did you see his face? What was he wearing?
Well, it was too dark out there in the hallway.
Of course, he might have heard something about it. No, he couldn't have. I didn't even tell Radcliffe the story.
Then how did he know it?
Unless he was the man in black.
There's something about him. It seems so strange. I can't place it, but he frightens me.
We better search the house. Listen.
The wind again.
That sound. He is here in the house. It was Carol's voice.
Then that man wasn't a guard. Come on.
Guard! Guard!
Nobody answers.
Carol, are you all right? Carol! Anything has happened to her?
The door to her room. It's open.
Carol.
She's dead. Just like the woman in the park.
It can't be. What happened to the guard outside her door?
Happened to all of the guards in the house, Brian. Haven't seen a single one on our way up here.
Did I ever start this?
We'd better call the police. Is there a phone up here?
No extensions up here. You phone. I'll stay here with Carol.
It won't do you any good to stay up here, Brian. She's dead. You better come with me.
I guess you're right.
Oh, Brian, I'm sorry. I should have known that the man in the
Not
hallway
your fault. I'm to blame. I started this.
I can't understand what happened to the guard.
Whoever he is, whatever he is, he has a power, David. Something evil and malignant. Send the guards away would be a simple matter for him. You can use the phone in the library.
You look all done in, Brian. You better sit down in that chair over there.
All right. I'll never forgive myself.
I hope they can get here in time.
I don't know what to do.
Say, that's strange.
What?
I'm not getting any dial tone. Something's wrong with the phone.
Oh,
What's the matter, Brian?
nothing.
I can't get to the police. The lines must be down.
Yes, there must be.
I thought I heard you moan when I was trying to get to the police.
You were mistaken.
It's rather dark in here, and with you sitting in that chair with your back to me, your voice sounds different.
Does it?
Yes.
Stay where you are.
Something's wrong with you. What is it?
Don't you know?
No.
Perhaps you should look at my face.
You're not Brian. The man in the hallway, you're...
The man in black.
What happened to...
Your friend? We exchanged places for a while.
You mean he's dead?
That's correct. As you will be soon.
Don't come any closer to me.
Are you afraid? Why don't you run?
I can't move.
Now, you see him. The man in black, face to face. And now, you die.
The wind, smacking sound of the wind is his voice. The last link in the chain has been broken. Death will strike at those who search for the man in black. For he is dead.
So runs tonight's tale of the unusual, the terrifying, the unknown. Join us again when next we journey down the corridors of the Hall of Fantasy to hear another strange tale of the supernatural. All characters and events portrayed in these programs are fictional, and any similarity to actual events or persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental.
Can the dead return to life? Listen to the Weird Circle. Out of the past, phantoms of a world gone by, speak again the immortal tale.
The Feast of Red Gauntlet.
Three men dead, hanging on a gibbet, hanging and swaying, and the gibbet creaking in the wind. It's not a pretty picture that the swinging branches recall tonight, but I never heard their mournful movement without my thoughts gone backwards to the dour years, the terrible times of Sir Robert Red Gauntlet. This countryside will long remember him, for our fathers used to draw breath thick when they heard him named. Steenie Steenson was his tenant, and I and every tenant man in Sir Robert Red Gauntlet's ground had to join the master in his killing raids on the Liberal Whigs. That night, Red Gauntlet hung 3 neighbour men I knew. My heart was like a stone, for I held no ill will against the men myself, and worse luck would have it, I was the last man to leave the frightful scene, for Davy, my old horse, went lame on me. The 3 dead men hung high over my head, the gibbet creaking and swaying as I looked over Davy. And all of a sudden, a stranger rode up through the woods. A lean, gaunt creature he was, in loose, ill-fitting clothes, and his white mare made no sound as she stepped on dry branches. I stood frozen a minute, and then somehow I plucked courage to say, "What are ye, man or spirit?"
I'm a stranger to you, though I'm not a stranger in these woods. Do you know where you are, Steenie Steenson?
Not rightly, sir. We rode and I drank a deal of brandy, for I didn't like the business we're about, and I paid little attention to our direction.
This is the Wood of the Dead, Steenie. If you kill in these woods, and you linger long enough for me to find you, then you must give an accounting.
I'll have you know, sir, I had no part in the hanging of those 3 men there. Rust their souls.
But your very presence gave consent. Did you protest?
I'm a tenant of Red Gauntlet. My fathers and forefathers lived on his land. And it's the unwritten law, sir. We think and do as the Red Gauntlets. But I've no stomach for killing men on account of their opinions.
Men like you, of weak will, Steenie Steenson, let the Red Gauntlets of the world rule with bloody hands. But you're in the Wood of the Dead tonight. And to these 3 men who hang on the gibbet, you must make some restitution.
Well, sir, and how can I do anything now for dead men?
They leave families, Steenie. Young ones and wives. You have a bag of silver hidden in your chimney at home. You must divide it among the 3 widows.
But how can I do that, man? The money's for my rent. I've little gift for saving, and I'm 2 terms back now for the rent due to Red Gauntlet. There's just the right amount of the bag, and it's all the money I have, sir.
How you will pay your rent must be your own worry. But you shall not leave these woods tonight alive, unless I know that you mean in your heart to divide that bag of silver among the 3 widows.
Well, I'm no man to be blind to the corner the wind blows in. I don't know who you are or what you are, stranger. Maybe I'd soon not know. But I can feel you mean every word you say. I'll divide the money among the 3 families. Sir.
Good. We'll meet again, Steenie Steenson. Someday. A very good night to you.
And a good night, stranger, to... I started to say it, but the horseman and horse had vanished, fairly melted into the woods before I could finish my words. Not a sound I made as the white mare stepped with a fine gait on the dead dry twigs. But keep my word I did to the ghostly stranger. The very next morning, I went to the 3 widows and gave them the money. Now came the problem for the rent. For Sir Robert Red Gauntlet was no man to be put off for more than 2 terms, and I was due to pay him that very day. Now, I'd done many a man a favour in the countryside by playing the bagpipes at weddings and all that sort of merriment, and I was what you might call in demand. So I went to the friends my bagpipes had made for me and asked them for the loan of some silver. From about 20 sources, I picked up the money to make the full amount, and away I trudged to Red Gauntlet's castle with a heavy purse. The old serving man, Dougal McCallum, met me in the great hall. He seemed beside himself with worry as he said,
Steenie, the master is in an evil mood, for he's suffering hard with the gout.
Well, pay the rent of must, gout or no gout. By the way, Dougal, is Sir Robert's pet monkey, what's his name, there with him today?
Aye, the monkey Major Weir sitting like an evil spirit in his little red lace jacket, perched on the master's shoulder.
It's afraid he'd be. I hate that little jackanapes. Well, come, man. I'd like to get this business over.
This way, Steenie. I've never seen the master look so bad. But don't you tell him so.
Come in. Don't be so slow about it. What are you, snails crawling in? That's you, jackanapes. I'll give you the back of my hand. Dougal, take the monk off my shoulder.
Aye, sire. The major's full of chatter today. Come, monk. Honey, sit down like a good little beast on your pillow. Sir Robert, Steenie Steenson's come to pay his rent.
Yes, Sir Robert. Here I am, man.
I see you, man. I see you. Are you come light-handed, you son of a thistle?
No, Sir Robert. The rent for 2 terms is right here in the bag.
Well, I'm surprised to get it all at once. This blasted gout is enough to drive a man to make a pact with the devil himself.
Oh, don't say things like that, Sir Robert. The evil one might hold you to it.
You hypocrite, Steenie. You know as well as I do that everyone believes I've already made a pact with the devil, and everyone's sure of where I'm going when I die.
I never listen to gossip, Sir Robert. Now, if you'll count the silver and give me the receipt, I'd best be going.
All right, Steenie. Dougal, take Steenie to the hall and give him a cup of brandy while I count the silver and make out the receipt.
Come along, Steenie, with some right fine brandy just down from Edinburgh.
I'm never a man, Dougal, to refuse a sample.
Oh, my feet! This old blasted gout! Dougal!
Hey?
Bring me a bowl of cold water!
The master is having an
Hurry,
attack
you
again.
idiot! Oh, my heart! My heart!
What's the matter? What can I do, Dougal? Is the master worse?
Steenie, run, man. Get on your horse and fly for the doctor.
I'll do that. Sir Robert looks bad to me. Out of Red Gauntlet's castle, I rode as fast as I could, and rode hard to bring Dr. McKenzie. I felt in my bones this was no light illness of Red Gauntlet's. The doctor and I were soon back in the castle, and as we opened the door, I thought how uncommonly quiet it was. Then old Hutchin, the butler, come toward us.
You're too late, Steenie, with the doctor.
Steenie and I rode as fast as we could.
What happened, man?
The worst. Sir Robert Red Gauntlet is dead.
Heaven keep us soul.
Well. That's sad news, Hutchin. Of course, I'll have to confirm the death and make out the proper papers.
Yes, sir. I know. This way, please, sir.
I tiptoed out and left that place of death, for I knew I'd only be in the way. And so deep was I in the thoughts of Red Gauntlet's end that I was a fair way home when of a sudden I remembered. Hadn't I left the silver for the rent there and never got a receipt? But then I considered old Dougal was a witness to the fact that I brought the money, and in due time it would all be put to rights. And so the matter would have been had not the uncanniest bad luck happened the night before Red Gauntlet's funeral. That night, old Dougal invited Hutchins to his room for a round of drinks before they went to bed. Hutchins told me more than once about that strange night. Hardly was he seated in the room when Dougal said,
Hutchin, we've both served the dead master a long, long time.
Aye. And though Red Gauntlet may have used an iron hand to others, he was good to us. Well, here's long life to you, Dougal.
Thank you, Hutchin. But I know I'm not long for this world.
Oh, come now. Don't let the master's death make you morbid.
It's not that I'm morbid. But you know the master and I were more like two brothers. I've followed Sir Robert through good and ill, through pool and stream. I've followed with a blind devotion. And though the master goes to the evil place, I too would have to follow. And I think it won't be long.
Man, get hold of yourself. I'll begin to think Sir Robert's death has turned your reason.
You're sure to think that when you hear what I have to tell you. As you know, Red Gauntlet lies in state in his own room, and I've been sleeping as usual in the room which adjoins his. If you remember, Sir Robert used to blow on his small silver whistle for me to come and turn him over in his bed. Well, Hutchin, as true as I'm alive this minute, every night since Red Gauntlet's death, I've heard that whistle. I've heard that silver whistle blow of the night.
Dougal, you make me hair stand on end. Man, you must have dreamed such a thing.
I did not dream it. I heard the silver whistle, and so frozen was I with terror that I did not stir. But in the daytime my conscience hurt me, for I can't let even death break my service to Sir Robert. Listen, there it is. Red Gauntlet's silver whistle.
The Lord keep our souls. It's an awful sound.
I've got to go, Hutchin. I've got to answer Red Gauntlet's call, just as I used to.
But, man, you cannot be turning the corpse over in its bed.
I've got to go. Stand by me, Hutchin. At least, go with me to Red Gauntlet's door.
I have no will for such doings, but I can't fail you in a pinch like this.
Come, then. The master is impatient.
Never did this hall seem so long, Dougal. Aren't we two addle-headed old men to be answering a silver whistle blown by a dead man? And on second thoughts, Dougal, maybe we only imagined we heard the whistle.
We did not dream it, Hutchin. Oh, well, we're near to the master's bedroom now. I dread opening the door.
Aye. The light of the candles might reveal to us more than we want to see.
But open the door we must.
Dougal, look. The dead master lies just as we left him. Dead and quiet.
But Hutchin, look! Look on the foot of the bed! It's the foul fiend himself, the evil one!
So shocked were Dougal and Hutchin by the sight of the evil one sitting there at the foot of Red Gauntlet's bed that they fainted dead away. Finally, when Hutchin came out of the faint and gathered his wits about him, he found old Dougal lying in a heap dead. Dougal had joined Red Gauntlet in the last long journey. Now, when I heard about Dougal's death, I felt sad indeed, but I'm afraid I felt more pity for myself than anyone, for Dougal was the only witness to the silver I'd left for the 2 terms of rent. Now, Sir Robert Red Gauntlet's son, Sir John, had come up from London for the funeral and to put things to right. In due time, he called me to come to see him, for I knew for certain he would. I stood before him in the great hall, and Sir John said,
Steenie Steenson, you're down here for 2 terms' rent. That's a whole year.
Please, Your Honor, Sir John, I paid it to your father.
Oh, you've got a receipt then, Dr. Steenie, and can produce it?
Indeed, I hadn't time, sir. For no sooner had I set down the silver, and Sir Robert was drawing the bag to him, when he was taken with the pains that took him out of this world.
Oh, that's very unlucky. But perhaps you paid it in the presence of somebody.
Aye, Sir John. There was nobody in the room but Dougal McCallan, and as Your Honor knows, he soon followed the dead master.
Very unlucky again, Steenie. Very strange to me that no one has told me that a bag of silver was found on the table after my father died.
Perhaps the butler Hutchin knows something about it, sir.
All right, I'll see what he has to say. Hutchin! Hutchin!
Yes, Sir John?
Hutchin, I wonder that I was never told about a bag of silver left by Steenie Steenson the day my father died. It should have been found on this very table by which my father had been sitting.
But we found no bag of silver, sir. I came running at once when the master cried out, and it was I who put the room to rights after we'd carried out the body.
But I did leave the money right there on the table.
Well, Hutchin, there's only one thing to do. Call all the servants together and question them. And if I can find no proof that the bag of silver was stolen, what story then are you going to tell me, Steenie? Where will you suggest we look for the money?
In the able place, if you want my opinion, sir. In the able place with your father and his silver whistle. I paid the money for the whole year's rent, and there's an end of it.
Oh, no, it's not. You will produce the rent or the receipt for the rent by this time tomorrow, or I shall have you put in chains. Now get out!
I rode away from the castle fairly seeing red. Here I was, the same Steenie Steenson who only a few weeks before had been the most popular piper in the countryside, the toast of every feast and frolic. And now of a sudden, men would be calling me names, a thief, a cheat, and worse. I rode on, little caring where my horse Davy led me. Finally, I realized I was in a thick patch of wood. And I noticed of a sudden that beside me was riding a stranger, the lean, gaunt man in ill-fitting clothes, on a white mare. A white mare that made no sound as she stepped on dry branches. Just as the night of the hanging, I said, "What are ye, man or spirit?"
I'm your friend, Steenie. I've come to help you.
Unless you can lend me money. There's no other help you can give me in this world.
But there may be some help in another world. Now, I can tell you this. Sir Robert Red Gauntlet is disturbed in his grave by your curses and black thoughts of him. And if you will venture to see him, he will give you the receipt.
Stranger, I've the courage to go to the very gates of the evil place, and a step further, for that matter, for that receipt.
All right, then, Steenie. Turn sharply to the left. Make your horse wind in and out of that thick settlement of black fur. Here we are.
But I can't believe no one eyes you. We're in the courtyard of Red Gauntlet's castle, where the estate is miles away from this place.
Yours is not the question, Steenie. Go to the castle door. Dougal will let you in.
Dougal? Why, the man's as dead as a mackerel. What place am I in, sir?
Courage, Steenie. Remember, you must get that receipt. Go to the door.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go I will. For it'll soon be dead myself as the be in the fix I'm in. Well, Davy, me good horse. Goodbye. If I don't come back, you'll know I've gone to... Heavenly days. There's Dougal standing there waiting at the door for me. Dougal, man. I never thought to see you alive again.
I'm not alive, Steenie.
Aye?
Now listen carefully. When you're inside Red Gauntlet's castle, take nothing from anybody there, neither meat or drink or silver, for they will bind you to that unholy party. Take nothing except that receipt which is your own. Come.
Oh, Dougal, what a ghastly scene of revellers. There's the fierce Middleton, and the dissolute Ross, and the crafty Lauderdale, and the wild Bunshaw, and all the other wicked ones I've known and played the bagpipes for at feast. And every one of them dead now. And yet I see them laughing and reveling there.
But take note, Steenie, in death as in life, it's my master, Sir Robert Red Gauntlet, who has the place of honor at the feast.
Hello, friends. It's Steenie Steenson. Look who's come to visit us. Come close, Steenie. And come close.
Hey, yes, sir. How's your health, Sir Robert?
Did you hear that, man? How's my health? Why, Steenie, it's as bad as could be expected.
Well, I'm sorry, sir. But where's Major, your monkey? It seems strange to see you without your pet, sir.
Here is a little cushion ready for the monk. And before nightfall tomorrow, the little ape will be with me. Well, let's get to business. You've come here for that receipt for your year's rent, haven't you, Steenie?
Yes, sir, and if you'll kindly give it to me, I'll go.
Oh, but first you must play me a tune of the bagpipes. Dougal, you limb of Beelzebub. Bring Steenie the pipes I've been keeping for him.
Robert, Sir Robert, this scene and your awesome presence have fairly taken my breath away. I fear I have none left to play the pipes, sir.
Then you must eat and drink, Steenie, for we do little else here. And it's likely to be ill speaking between a full man and a fasting one.
I've not come to eat or drink, sir, but simply for what's my own. Give me that receipt.
All right, you pitiful cur. I'll write it here and now. Dougal, bring me the quill.
I have everything ready, sir.
Good.
Here.
This 25th of November, from my appointed place, I, Sir Robert Red Gauntlet, do assert that Steenie Steenson paid me in silver 1 year's rent. There's Steenie's receipt.
Thank you, sir.
And tell my rogue of a son to go look for the bag of silver in the cat's cradle.
In the cat's cradle, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
No, not so fast, my man. I'm not done with you. Here we do nothing for nothing. On a year this very day, you must return and pay the pipe for me. That will be your payment and my pleasure.
I don't care a rap for your pleasure, sir. I refer myself only to the good Lord. At the mention of the holy name, it seemed to me that the whole earth shook, and I lost both breath and scent. When it came to it, was early morning. I was in the woods, a full 5 miles from home, and Davy, my horse, was feeding nearby. And then I laughed, and I thought what a nightmare of a dream I had. But then, I realized I was holding something tight in my hands. And I looked, and I found I held the receipt for the rent, signed by Sir Robert Redgauntlet. With my mind fairly in a daze, I rode at once to the castle and demanded to see Sir John. Looking like a fresh thunderstorm, Sir John greeted me with sour words.
If you have come with excuses, save your breath, Steenie. Have you brought me the rent?
No, sir, I have not. But I brought Sir Robert's receipt for it.
But you told me only yesterday that he had not given you one.
Will Your Honor please look at this bit of writing?
All right. Looks like my father's hand, I must say. This 25th of November, from my appointed place. The 25th of November was yesterday. If you got this receipt, Steenie, you must have gone to Hades for it.
I got it from Your Honor's father, sir. Whether he be in heaven or someplace else, I don't know. And besides, Sir Robert sent a message to you. He said you were to look for the bag of silver at the cat's cradle.
I'm beginning to think you're either mad or a sorcerer. And I hope you recall it was only a month ago in the village when a sorcerer was burned at the stake.
I admit I've a long, strange tale to tell, sir, but you'll only believe it if we do find that bag of silver in the cat's cradle.
Oh, I never heard such childish nonsense. I don't know any place around here by that name.
Please, sir, ask old Hutchin. He knows things about the castle that everybody else has forgot.
All right.
You rang, sir?
Hutchin, do you know a place about the castle called the Cat's Cradle?
Oh, yes, sir. It's a ruinous turret long out of use, next to the clock house. One can only get to it by a ladder, for the opening's on the outside. It's many long years since I've heard anyone inquire about the Cat's Cradle.
Thank you, Hutchin. Come along, Steenie. We'll go to the Cat's Cradle and see what we find. Just in case I need it, I think I'll take this pistol that was my father's.
For what purpose, sir?
It has silver bullets. And they say that silver bullets are the only kind effective against mad men and sorcerers. Come, Steenie. I hope for your sake I find something up here, Steenie. What could that be?
Oh, Sir John, that's your father's silver whistle. Come down, sir. Come down. I'm afraid you'll see that, sir.
Nonsense. I'll find out for myself.
There's Red Gauntlet's pet monkey, Major Weir.
Look, Steenie. It's the monkey that's blowing the whistle.
Be careful, Sir John. That monk can be mean, awful mean, sir.
Oh, I can take care of myself. Give me that whistle, you little ape.
Watch out, the monk will stretch your eyes out.
Get away from me! Get away! Get away!
Can you see inside the turret now?
Too bad I had to shoot him. Yes, now find the bag of silver, Steenie. Here, catch it.
A little thief of an ape. He stole the bag and hid it there.
Now, watch out. I'm coming down. That turret's full of the junk the monkey stole. I'll have Hutchin clean it out.
Well, Sir John, I guess you'll have to believe I'm not a liar now.
Yes, we've solved the mystery of the missing bag of silver. Perhaps another mystery. I believe it's the monkey that blew the silver whistle those nights. Dougal thought it was my dead father. But we haven't solved the mystery of the receipt, Steenie.
But I did talk to your father last night, and he gave me that receipt. For proof, didn't I deliver your father's message to go look at the cat's cradle for the bag of silver?
Yes, Steenie, and I'm very worried. If this story gets out, you know what the villagers will say. That you must have strange powers. That you must be a sorcerer.
I know, Sir John. And I was also thinking. It wouldn't be to your credit, or to your good family's name, for the story to get about where your father's gone. But I swear it wasn't in heaven that I found myself last night.
I see what you mean, Steenie. Well, shall we agree to keep the secret just between us?
Aye, Sir John, we'll keep it. Maybe we can tell it someday to our grandchildren, for they'll think they're so modern they won't believe the story anyway.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have brought you the story, The Feast of Red Gauntlet. Bellkeeper, toll the bell.
In just a moment, CBS will present its weekly program of the world's outstanding thrillers, Suspense. Before we begin, the producer feels it incumbent upon him to reply herewith to the many inquiries concerning the solution of last week's story of the woman on the telephone called Sorry, Wrong Number. Due to a momentary confusion in the studio, an important line cue was delivered at the wrong time, and some of our listeners were uncertain as to the outcome of the story. For them, be it known that the woman, so remarkably played by Miss Agnes Moorehead, was murdered by a man whom her husband had hired to do the job. We should also like to announce that in response to many hundreds of requests, this suspense play will be repeated within a few weeks.
And now, this is the Man in Black, here again to introduce our performance tonight of Suspense. Our stars this evening are two distinguished gentlemen from the Hollywood sound stages, Mr. Donald Crisp and Mr. John Loder. Mr. Crisp and Mr. Loder are here to enact for us a strange and startling drama in which they, in the interest of justice, made use of an unusual method to wring a confession of guilt from a criminal. The story is by Rupert Croft Cook and is called Banquo's Chair. And so with Banquo's Chair and the performances of Donald Crisp as Sir William Brent and John Loder as Arthur Grange, Sir William's friend who relates the story to us, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
I would like you to look at this photograph. It's the picture of Sir William Brent, ex-head of the English Criminal Investigation. I knew Sir William well, and he always terrified me. Not in the sense that he was brutal or evil, he was none of that. But look at that cold face, particularly his eyes. When he looked at you, you flushed with guilt. Every misdeed you ever committed in your life floated over your face. A glance from him made you feel as if you were stark naked. He saw you with all your defenses down. Sir William was the scourge of criminals, coldly unemotional, utterly without fear or passion. He tracked them down mercilessly and never lost a case. There was no feeling in him, no pity, no hate, nothing but terrifying, cold intelligence. And he was deadly to everyone he went after. I'm going to tell you about his last case. A case that, well, even recalling it sends real shudders through me. I swear it's true. I saw it with my own eyes. I wish I never had. I witnessed it in all its dreadful details. One night at the club, about 11 o'clock, a boy came up to me.
Telegram for you, sir.
I ripped open the envelope and read the telegram. Dear Arthur, will you come and dine with me at Turret House, Sydenham on Thursday? There will be several guests, and I think I can promise you an unforgettable evening. It was signed by Sir William Brent. I was annoyed. I don't like to receive telegrams so late in the evening, and Sir William could easily have phoned, unless he didn't want to go into details with me. I decided to phone him.
Hello? Hello?
This is Arthur Grange calling.
Yes, I know. Did you receive my telegram?
Yes, Sir William. What's all the mystery about?
Well, I'll tell you about it on Thursday. Are you coming?
Yes, I'll be there.
Very good. I particularly want you to be there.
You sound so mysterious, I'm thinking of coming armed or bringing several bodyguards.
No, won't be necessary to bring any bodyguards. But you'd better come armed. Well armed. Yes, bring a revolver. Good night.
Early Thursday evening, I made my way to Turret House. A windy November rain slashed at the streets. Turret House is a huge red brick, unpleasantly somber mansion, an ugly product of Queen Victoria's time. There it squatted, back of the road, almost hidden to view by several dripping pine trees. The neighborhood had known better days. I walked up along the unkept path until I reached the great oaken door. I let the knocker fall once or twice, and the door opened.
Good evening, Mr. Grange. I was waiting for you.
Hello, Lane.
Nasty night, sir, isn't it?
It's not much warmer in here.
There's a fire in the dining room, sir.
Whatever made Sir William move into this drafty dungeon?
Oh, we haven't moved in, sir. It's only temporary. Sir William just renting. We still live in the West End.
Oh, I see. Have any of the other guests arrived?
Yes, Mr. Grange. Miss Stone is here.
Miss Stone?
Yes, the mystery writer. This way, Mr. Grange. I'll show you to the dining room. Sir William will be down shortly.
Oh, hello. I'm Roberta Stone.
How'd you do? I'm Arthur Grange, an old friend of Sir William.
Yes, I know.
I've read some of your mystery stories and enjoyed them very much.
Thank you, Mr. Grange.
Just what is going on here tonight?
I don't know. Sir William sounded awfully mysterious. But then, I've known Sir William for a long time. He never lets anyone down. If anything, he understates.
I know. He told me to come armed.
He told me the same thing. Here's my gun. I must admit, I've never fired it in my life.
This house is certainly a proper background for anything unpleasant.
It's already been the scene of a crime.
Oh? What crime?
Murder. A particularly unpleasant one.
Really? I must say the murderer couldn't have picked a more ideal spot.
Isn't it a fact? You know, I once wrote a story of...
Good evening, Roberta. Arthur, I'm glad you're both on time.
Hello, Sir William.
Hello. A nice apartment you have here. A sort of mausoleum and dining room combined.
You're a bit afraid, aren't you?
Of course not. Why should I be?
Your eyes give you away.
What's all this about? You invite us to this godforsaken dungeon and tell us to come armed?
Don't be upset, Arthur. I'm sure you'll come out of this all right.
You mean we may be in some danger?
Naturally, I wouldn't tell you to come armed otherwise.
Who is this other guest, Sir William?
There are 2 more guests. But first we'll have a drink, and then I'll tell you both all about it. Lane.
Yes, Sir William?
Will you serve the drinks?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'll tell you what's going to happen tonight. This house, Turret House, was the scene of the Sydenham murder. A very famous case.
Yes, I know about it.
That's right. No offense, old man, but wasn't it the only case you never solved?
You're wrong, Arthur. I solved the Sydenham case, but I couldn't bring the criminal to justice because of insufficient evidence.
You mean you knew who the murderer was?
Oh, yes, of course. It was the nephew. The police knew it, too.
Then why in the world didn't you bring the case to a conclusion?
Because the nephew had an absolute and unimpeachable alibi. To have arrested him would have meant a waste of time and money and a release in the end. Besides, according to English law, a man discharged can never be arrested again on the same murder charge.
Well, this is all very fascinating. Has it anything to do with our being here tonight?
Yes, Roberta, it has. In a short while, the nephew, John Bedford, will be here to dine with us. And, oh yes, the victim, Miss Ferguson.
What? Well, wait. You mean Miss Ferguson wasn't actually murdered?
Miss Ferguson is quite dead. Has been dead these 2 years.
You mean you're going to have the body of Miss Ferguson here at dinner? Oh, this is a little too much. If you'll excuse me, I'll dine elsewhere tonight.
Not so fast, Roberta. Perhaps you'd better wait until you hear the rest of the story.
This promises to be a very gay dinner.
Oh, yes.
Now, as you both know, I've never lost a case, except the Sydenham murder, which will be finished tonight. Now, I'm an egotist. I don't believe there's a criminal in all England that can outwit me. As a matter of fact, I've resigned from the criminal investigation for the sole reason of trapping Mr. John Bedford.
It's hard to believe.
Well, I told you I was an egotist. No criminal has beaten me yet, and no one ever will.
You have an awful lot of patience.
Infinite patience. I devoted 2 years to this case, and now that my moment of triumph has arrived, I wanted to have some witnesses. A writer who will record the event, and an admirer who will applaud with awe the trickiness of my scheme.
Well, if it's as gruesome as I think it is, I won't be here to watch it.
Oh, yes, you will. Horror has a way of fascinating and hypnotizing people. Besides, Arthur, you'd be ashamed to run out now.
I'll stay, of course.
So will I.
Good. Now, before I tell you my scheme, let me first acquaint you with the details of the murder. Exactly 2 years ago tonight, old Miss Ferguson...
English maid.
Yes, Miss Ferguson.
Why don't you answer when I call?
I was in the kitchen, ma'am.
It's after 10 o'clock. You should be on your way home.
I was just about to leave.
Has my nephew called?
No, ma'am. Mr. Bedford hasn't called since yesterday. I told him he couldn't come in, just like you said.
I don't ever want to see him again. He's no good. He's an evil man who will come to an evil end. You're never to let him in here, Hilda.
He won't ever come in this house if I can help it. No, ma'am.
Now you'd better run along and make sure all the doors are bolted.
Yes, ma'am. Good night, Miss Ferguson.
Good night, Hilda. A pity about that nephew of mine. I'll change my will. Won't leave him a penny, I won't. In the morning, I'll change the will. That's... Who's there? Who is it?
It's I, Aunt Martha, your own affectionate nephew.
What are you doing in my house?
Oh, you're not at all pleased to see me. Your only living relative, too.
I'd like you to leave at once or call the police, I've got.
I'd rather not, Auntie. I want to have a talk with you.
You don't want to talk to me? All you want is money.
Yes, Auntie, I do want money. And lots of it.
You've got all the money you'll ever get out of me. You won't even get a penny after I die. I'll see to that. Perhaps you'll appreciate the value of money after you've worked for it.
You know, Auntie...
You're wearing gloves. What are you up to?
I've made up my mind.
What are you doing? Keep away.
You're an old woman. All that money's no good for you. You can never use it. I'm young, and money means life to me. A rich and gay life. You're old, and you're going to die soon anyway.
No, it can't be. You're not going to do that.
Yes, Auntie, I am. You don't want to live anywhere. You're lonely, you're sick, and you're old. I'm going to do you a favor. Nobody can hear you now. I'm your heir. Your only heir, Auntie. You're next of kin. The estate is going to be mine. All of it. Now, don't you worry, Auntie. We'll have a fine funeral for you.
That's pretty much the way old Miss Ferguson was murdered.
Oh, how ghastly.
Hilda found the body the next morning. I immediately went to work on the case. All the evidence pointed to John Bedford. Everyone believed he committed the crime. He almost admitted it himself. I had him brought to my office for questioning. Oh, hello, Bedford. Come in.
Thank you, sir. How'd you do, Sir William?
Cigarette?
Oh, thank you.
Well, how does it feel to kill your own aunt?
May I have a light, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. I wouldn't know, Sir William. You see, I never killed anyone. Have you?
I have, Mr. Bedford. And I've sent quite a few to the gallows.
Yes, so I understand.
What was your relationship to Miss Ferguson?
She was my aunt.
Don't be flippant. Flippancy only proves your guilt.
Well, to tell you the truth, sir, my aunt didn't like me. She thought I was a spendthrift and a useless parasite, and she was quite right.
Would you mind telling me where you were the night your aunt was murdered?
Oh, not at all. In jail. I had drunk a little too much and gotten into a bit of a tiff with someone, that's all.
Have you ever been arrested for drunkenness before?
Never, Sir William. This was my first offense.
Quite an alibi.
Quite a fact. It would hardly be possible for me to be in jail and kill my aunt at the same time, you know. Unless, of course, my aunt came into my cell and allowed me to murder her, after which she walked back to Turret House as a ghost, dragging her body behind her.
According to my reports, Mr. Bedford, you drink very little. No one who knows you has ever seen you drunk before. You probably got drunk in joyful anticipation of murdering your aunt.
As a thoroughgoing criminal investigator, don't you think you ought to check my story?
I already have. You've done a very skillful job. Too bad you couldn't use your talents for something constructive.
Well, why don't you arrest me, Sir William?
No, Mr. Bedford. I have time. Plenty of time.
Well, you'd better work fast. By the time you get around to me, I'll have spent all of my aunt's beautiful money.
It's not the money we're after. It's you. Your beautiful life. Good day, Mr. Bedford. That's how matters stood. I refuse to let any of my men arrest him.
But how in the world could he have murdered his aunt while he was in jail?
Perhaps he bribed the prison guard to let him out for an hour.
Yes, Roberta, I believe he did. Unfortunately, the guard died of pneumonia soon afterwards, which left us no further source of evidence.
As far as I can see at the moment, Sir William, you haven't a leg to stand on.
You're quite right, Arthur, I haven't. Except that every man, particularly a criminal, has an Achilles heel. I discovered John Bedford's weakness.
What is it?
He's superstitious. And it annoyed me tremendously that John Bedford was my first failure. Here was a clever, calloused criminal who laughed at me. No one had ever done that before. Bedford knew I could do him no harm, and he made the most of it. Carefully and patiently, I thought it over. I looked upon Bedford as you would look on a Chinese puzzle. There is no such thing as an impregnable defense. A few months later, I went to visit Bedford.
Well, Sir William Brent. What a surprise. Won't you come in, pray?
Thank you, Mr. Bedford.
Well, I'm honored to have the great Sir William Brent pay me a visit. You're not after any more clues, I hope. It gets rather tedious, you know.
No, not at all. I know when I'm licked.
Well, I didn't want to appear smug, sir, but everyone has his Waterloo. Would you have a drink?
No, thanks. I suppose you're curious about why I came here.
Well, I'd hardly imagined it was a friendly visit.
On the contrary, it is. You see, I admire brilliant people, no matter what they're calling.
Oh, you're very flattering, Sir William.
I've resigned from the criminal investigation. I'm a private citizen now.
Yes, I've heard about that.
Most people misunderstand me. It wasn't my love for justice that made me pursue my profession with such tenacity and...
Success?
With the sole exception of your case, of course. It was a game of skill to me. My wits against all comers. I lost in your case. But then we've all got to lose sometime, haven't we?
I don't believe you, Sir William. You're still out to get me.
Well, there isn't much of a chance, is there?
I'm afraid not, Sir William. I've kept out of trouble so far. Knock wood.
That's an odd habit for a man like you, knocking on wood. You're not superstitious, are you?
Huh? Of course not. Just a habit since I was a child.
I see. Well, now to the reason for my visit. I noticed in the papers that you're looking for a tenant for Turret House.
Yes, I am.
I'd like to rent it.
Well, the scene of the crime, huh? Well, of course, why not? There's no harm in it. As a matter of fact, I'll let you have it very cheaply.
And that's how I rented this house. The house where the murder was committed.
Well, what's your plan?
It had better be a good one. Mr. Bedford sounds like a hard customer.
Yes, it's a strange plan, but an effective one. I saw Bedford frequently. Our acquaintance blossomed into a kind of friendship, an armed friendship, of course. He knew I was out to get him, and I wanted him to know that. He's vain, very vain. And this game intrigued him. I also learned that he was very superstitious, although he denied it vigorously. Tonight is the anniversary of the murder, and tonight Mr. Bedford dines with us at 8 o'clock.
It's nearly 8 now.
Now, this is the plan. You know May Wakefield?
Of course. She's the famous Shakespearean actress.
That's right. During dinner, she will enter the room in the precise likeness of Miss Ferguson, the murdered woman. We, of course, will pretend not to see her. We remain outwardly unconscious of her. Only Bedford will be aware of her presence. I believe Bedford will confess.
I'd imagine he'd keep away on this night, especially if it's the anniversary.
He's giddy with success. And also, the fact that Roberta Stone, the famous writer, is here with us, tweaks his vanity. He'll be here promptly.
Oh, I don't like this.
Well, this is just like one of your stories. It doesn't become you to be frightened.
Oh, I won't run away.
Well, there's one more thing. During dinner, the electric lights will be switched off at the main, and candles will be lit. We must have the correct atmosphere. You understand now? You're not to see May Wakefield. She doesn't exist for us. Is that clear?
I'll look right through her.
Oh, it gives me the creeps.
That, I am sure, is our Mr. Bedford.
The appearance of John Bedford suddenly made the whole scene grimly real. He was a tall, well-built man in his late 30s, immaculately dressed and perfectly groomed. At first sight, his face seemed pleasant enough, but on closer scrutiny, his gray eyes were hard and cold. He looked us over, all of us, with arrogance and superiority. I heartily wished I was elsewhere. This was one scene I had no desire to witness. After the introductions were over, we sat down to dinner.
Is it still nasty outside, Mr. Bedford?
Yes, and getting worse. Looks like we're in for a few days of it.
Too bad. I was going to do some riding tomorrow.
The soup is excellent.
Yes, your cook should be congratulated, son. The soup's a masterpiece.
Poor Alice. She's been my cook for 20 years. But she's given me notice, absolutely refuses to stay here, says this house is haunted.
So?
Roberta, this might make an interesting story for you.
Yes,
You should speak to her. Alice swears that she has seen the figure of an elderly lady with finger marks on her throat walking about this house.
Oh, come now, Sir William. This is too good. Such an obvious attempt to frighten me. Sir William is convinced that I murdered my aunt. Please, Sir William, a little more subtlety. Surely I deserve it.
Perhaps the cook did see the figure.
As you very well know, Mr. Bedford, I don't believe in ghosts, and I'm sure my cook never saw this elderly figure. It's all in her mind.
Well, I'm afraid your little attempt didn't work, sir, but I must admire your graceful admittance of its failure.
Yes, I suppose I'd better give up, shouldn't I?
Oh, no, never give up. If at first you don't succeed, you know.
Do you live very far from here, Mr. Bedford?
Thank you, Miss Stone, but there's no need to change the topic. I hope you find this game as amusing as I do.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bedford, but this isn't my idea of pleasant dinner conversation.
Oh, we'll talk of pleasant things.
I saw a very exciting play last night.
Excuse me a moment. It's really fearfully hot in here. Do you mind if we get a little air, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. It is rather warm. Lane, open one of the windows, please.
Yes, sir.
Awful weather, isn't it?
Yes. I don't know how we're going to get home, really.
It's a bad month of the year. I'd intended to go to the Riviera.
What's the matter?
Honest.
Lane, what on earth is wrong with the light?
I don't know, sir.
Well, don't stand there. Light the candles. We can't sit here in the darkness. And get the chauffeur. He knows something about electric lights.
I'll call the chauffeur right away.
I'm terribly sorry about this. We've had trouble with the wiring before. The chauffeur will have it fixed in a few moments. Now, let's get on with our dinner.
If this is one of your tricks, Sir William,
Oh, have some more wine, Mr. Bedford.
It was a tense and terrible moment. I looked at Roberta. She was pale and frightened. Bedford, for all his poise, was uneasy. He didn't know whether Sir William was planning anything or whether this was really an accident. My heart was pounding away, and my palms were moist with perspiration. Only Sir William appeared cool. There was not a trace of emotion in his face.
Oh, Mr. Bedford, you were saying about visiting the Riviera.
Eh?
It's quite a change from England at this time of year.
Now, I suppose I'll make the trip next month when I...
What's the matter, Mr. Bedford?
Nothing at all. I wish we could have some light. Rather difficult to see.
Yes, I'm terribly sorry this had to happen just at dinner. Have a little more wine, Mr. Bedford.
Yes, thank you.
The figure of a woman had entered the room. She had come in silently, like a ghost. We all saw her, but not one of us moved or made a sign of recognition. In the dim candlelight, she looked ghostly and unreal. Bedford looked at all of us, to see if we also had seen the figure. But we ate our dinner grimly. He looked again, then shook his head and gulped more wine.
Don't any of you see anything?
See what, Mr. Bedford?
It's another one of your tricks. Can't any of you see her?
What's got into you, Bedford?
It's my aunt. My aunt.
Perhaps you've had too much to drink. Your aunt's dead, Mr. Bedford. You're not seeing ghosts, I hope.
Perhaps I drank too much.
Yes, of course.
She's coming toward me.
Now, calm yourself. I've never seen you like this.
What?
There's no one else here. Do you see anyone, Roberta?
No, Sir William.
I don't either.
I'm leaving.
I can't make you out, Bedford. You don't seem to be drunk.
You're not wearing your gloves today, John.
She's real. Can't any of you see her? Can't you hear her?
What's come over you, Bedford?
I'm leaving here. She's at the door. She won't let me out now.
I'm an old woman. Money is no good for me. I'm lonely, John. I'm lonely.
Let me fly on mouth out of my way.
There's no one in your way, Bedford. Come, sit down.
Get away from that door. I'll murder you again. Give me another. I'll murder you again. You old witch. I'll murder you again.
All right, switch on the lights. Now, Officer Graham. Come along. What? Arrest him. You've heard the confession. Put the handcuffs on him.
I've got him, sir.
Heaven. Oh, I have never seen anything so horrible.
Well, Bedford, it seems that I've finally caught up with you.
I'll kill him again. I'll kill her again.
That wasn't your aunt. It was May Wakefield, the actress.
I'll kill her again. I'll kill her.
Take him away. Shock. Well, shall we continue with our dinner?
I hope you're fully satisfied, Sir William.
Quite. It's been a long job, but it has ended as I knew it would. I'm most grateful to you both for your help.
I thought it was a pretty grim affair.
Oh, your methods repel me. But I suppose you know your job. May Wakefield certainly knew hers. That was the finest piece of acting I've ever seen.
Her makeup was incredibly good. We must congratulate her. She's probably gone to her room. Lane.
Yes, sir.
Please call Miss Wakefield.
Miss Wakefield, sir?
Yes, the lady who's been assisting us this evening.
Well, I'll look for her, sir.
Yes, tell her to come down and join us. We have a fine dinner waiting for her.
Excuse me, sir. But this telegram came a little while ago. I didn't want to disturb you during dinner.
Oh, yes, let me have it. Good heavens.
Sir William, what's wrong?
I'll read it to you. Severe influenza makes it impossible for me to leave my bed tonight. Will tomorrow night do? Signed, May Wakefield.
Lord help us. If it wasn't May Wakefield, then who was that figure here tonight?
There was no answer. I looked at Sir William, staring at the telegram. His face was grey and stony. On his left temple, a crooked blue vein stood out. It twitched once or twice, and then was motionless. He looked as though he'd seen a ghost.
And so closes Banquo's Chair, starring Donald Crisp and John Loder. Tonight's tale of suspense. Now you may want to make a note of a change of time in these programs. Beginning next Tuesday, Suspense will be heard a half hour later, or 10 to 10:30 Eastern War Time. This is your narrator, the Man in Black, who conveys to you Columbia's invitation to spend this half hour in suspense with us at our new time next Tuesday, when Vincent Price, Ona Munson, and Osa Masson will star in the suspense play 5 Canaries in the Room. The producer of these broadcasts is William Spear, with Ted Bliss, the director, Lud Gluskin, and Lucien Morawick, conductor and composer, and Sigmund Miller, the radio author, collaborated on tonight's Suspense.
This is CBS, Columbia Broadcasting System.